Hey guys, I wanted to show you that I'm transplanting, or how to transplant onions that have sprouted in your pantry. These are actually 3 different onion sprouts that I got from one onion. So we had a large purple onion in our little bowl where we keep all of our onions, and it started sprouting from the top, so you could see these little green things coming out of it. And I had watched an amazing video that taught me how to kind of dissect the plant. You just cut layer by layer the outside of the onion, and you start peeling it back until you see how many different sprouts you have in there. In the video that I learned, gosh, I wish I could remember who it was that taught me, but he only had 2 that had been created, and in this huge onion I got 3. So what I did is I put a little bit of water at the base of this bowl, and I just stuck them in here. They've been in here for 3 days, and look at how much it's rooted, which is amazing. And I happen to have room in this planter box. This is a patty pan squash. Over here in this corner is amazing. It's called dragon tongue. It's a green bean that you can either eat straight out of the garden. Look at how beautiful this thing is. You can either eat it like right off of here, kind of like a sugar snap pea, or you can cook it like a green bean. It's such an amazing plant, and it's a bush bean, which means that it doesn't need to climb up a pole like a lot of climbing pole vining beans need to. It just supports itself. And then right here are 2 tomato plants. But as you can see, this whole place is bare. And it's actually really good to plant onions and garlic in with vegetable plants like this, because they're supposed to deter pests. So what I'm going to do, and the other thing to keep in mind too is that this isn't going to bush out and create shade for the tomatoes, because the tomatoes need a lot of sun and heat. So they just kind of create these little, it's not going to put off a lot of shade on the tomato, which is great. So I'm going to put 3, 1, 2, 3, and see how it goes. Okay, so as you can see, I kind of staggered them a little bit, just to kind of give the planter box a little bit of, space. I could probably add one more thing here, maybe a garlic. And also I have this little rosemary plant that needs to be transplanted, but there's 3 different plants within this, so I could take one of these and place it there, which would probably be really good because rosemary also deters pests too. Okay, so I'm going to take this rosemary plant, which was inside the house. It's really weird because I had it inside of my herb garden in my windowsill inside, and it started growing this white mildewy kind of white mildew on it, or like a mold. But all I did is I brought it outside. I took it out of the planter box because it was in my herb garden along with basil's in the center, and on the outside is oregano, and the basil and oregano are doing great, and they aren't affected by the mold at all. But this was completely white, covered with mold, but it was powdery and it could kind of shake off. So I really carefully took the whole herb garden outside, because it's in this little planter on my windowsill on our dinner table. And I took a shovel and I stabbed the shovel in and separated the rosemary, and took the rosemary with all the soil that the roots were in, so that you're not pulling the rosemary's roots out and really, really hurting the plant. And I brought it outside. I put it in this little container with the soil I took it out with, kind of pressed it in, and then I just rinsed the whole plant off with a hose, and it's like basically healed. I mean, I'm definitely going to look up what I need to do to strengthen the plant and make sure that the mildew doesn't continue. And I do see a little bit on here, so if I spray, I'm sure maybe a vinegar mixture, maybe neem oil, which I have. I just need to make the mixture and spray it for a few days, and it should take care of the problem. But what I'm going to do is, you can see here there's 3 different plants here, or different separate different plants. So I'm going to take all the soil out, and I'm going to separate one of them, and I'm going to put it in the planter box with the onions. So let's see. So you can kind of pinch this, get this out, and just really carefully separate. See? So I'm going to put the one that has the 2 back into the planter, and I've got this kind of handful of soil and roots and my rosemary. I'm just going to put my hand right into the dirt. Ooh, I've got a net here so that the birds can't get to my plants. I'm just stabbing my hand into the soil and pulling it back a little bit, just enough to drop this in there. And then I'm pushing the soil all back around the plant. And right now it's kind of leaning and seems like a very unsturdy plant, but once you water it for a few days and it gets established, it'll get strong and stand right up. So I might even put a stake in here, like a piece of, I've got some pieces of bamboo and sticks and different things I save from plants. See, I've got this thing of bamboo. And just to kind of help the plant not lay in the dirt, I will put it like so. And I'll just use a little piece of my wire to tie it against that so it stands up. And then I'll treat it and water it and make sure it stays healthy. See, we've got this. You just cut a piece of this, wrap it around there to keep it up with that little stake that you have in there. And once it gets strong enough, you don't need to keep that in there. You don't need to keep the, you can take the stake out eventually because the base of it will get stronger. I think right now it's just kind of fighting the mold. Let's see. And we're just going to tie this around there. Voila!